Coming up now is another sparkling Two Mikes podcast.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, and you're listening to the Two Mikes on Extra Time. We're keeping you entertained throughout the night. Tonight we're going in search of football's moral compass. Dave Whelan and Ched Evans have moved very firmly from the back pages to the front pages of this morning's newspapers. It seems the nation's favourite sport has a bit of growing up to do. Yesterday, the owner of Wigan Athletic appeared to be surprised that anyone would think how hiring Malky Mackay might cause a problem. Last night, it went from bad to worse.
I would never, ever insult a Jewish person. I have got hundreds and hundreds of Jewish friends. I would never, ever upset any Jewish person because I hold them in the highest regard.
Really? Is that the best you can do, Dave? Meanwhile, at Sheffield United, they've had a change of heart. Last week, they said that Ched Evans' situation was no place for mob justice. Now, apparently, they think mob justice is OK, and he can't train there anymore. Confused? Give us a call, 08717 22 3344. You're listening to Extra Time with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is TalkSport Extra Time with the Two Mikes. A very warm welcome to all of you, and not least to Mr. Mike Parry, my colleague on my immediate right. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Well, is it a good morning already? You want to start the show on this sort of basis, this sort of relationship?
Well, I'm searching for the moral compass of football. You all say I have no moral compass.
Well,
I'm wondering where the moral compass of football has gone.
Hang on, excuse me.
What?
Never mind the moral compass of football. Where's your moral compass?
What about my moral compass?
Sneaking around.
My moral compass is not in question.
Sneaking around our office, taking pictures of me, unbeknown to myself, and now trying to deride and mock me because I like...
Oh, yeah, what? Because you like Battenberg cake?
What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Why do you think that is...
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Why are you trying to make me a figure of fun just because I like a bit of Battenberg cake?
I didn't actually take that picture. The picture was taken by somebody else, and it was made available to me. So I thought your many fans would like to see how you prepare for the show.
Okay.
Because people do like to know how you do that.
With
a bit of Red Bull and some Battenberg cake.
I see.
What's wrong with that?
And so the caption, Red Bull and Battenberg cake, and what you're trying to what you are trying to do, and hopefully it will fail, is to make me look like an idiot in front of the millions of people who tune into TalkSport this time of night to listen to the pearls of wisdom which we can deliver.
I'm merely giving people an insight into the way that you prepare for the show.
It's a disgrace.
Lots of people, I'm sure, will enjoy seeing that picture.
You know, I'm not obsessed
in a fond way as well.
I'm not obsessed with trying to take the mickey out of you, pal. You know, and I have to say that that I'll have this in the back of my mind for the next few hours. Don't you worry about that.
Because you'll forget it
Don't
immediately.
You worry about
immediately
that.
We start talking about something else, you'll completely forget about it. If you do wish to have a look, though, at the Two Mikes, of course, is our Twitter address. I've put it out there, and at IROMG, at Mike Parry 8 as well. You can see a very nice picture of Mike Porky Parry, very studiously, I have to say, researching the show, but
this was taken without my knowledge.
Helped along.
This was taken without my knowledge. This is the sort of thing, you know, which Fleet Street has had to get its act together about.
You were papped, in other words.
I was. You know, people hiding in bushes and taking pictures of people going by and all that kind of stuff. That's yesteryear, man.
Well, you're in a public place, mate. You're in a public place. Talking about yesteryear, is Dave Whelan from the Dark Ages or what? I mean, how on earth is he going to get out of this hole that he's dug for himself?
Well, do you know what I thought was the most astonishing thing about his rantings? And I can only say they are rantings tonight. I mean, I think he's going to find just how... how the world is divided over him taking Malky Mackay on before the investigation, which the FA are undertaking, has been completed. Now, Greg Dyke, was asked about the investigation. He said, look, if Mr. Whelan has had some sort of inside steer from the FA that we are not going to act upon the outcome of the Malky Mackay investigation, I think he's wrong. We don't know whether we are or not because the investigation is underway and it's not been completed. So whoever's told him that is erroneous.
Well, clearly from what he said to The Guardian, and he hasn't denied saying it to The Guardian, all he said last night, you heard him there issuing his statement. We're trying to get more of his statement as we speak, but where he says, look, I would never dream of insulting any Jewish person. I have hundreds of Jewish friends. That's the oldest defence in the book, isn't it?
This is the thing I was going to say is most extraordinary. Mr. Whelan said, I'm not laughing because I'm trying to undervalue the seriousness of this situation, or neither am I trying to trivialise what he said.
Yeah.
But when anybody says in a statement, I've got hundreds of Jewish friends, I mean, in my whole life, I haven't got as many friends as you could count on one hand.
Yeah.
and there are 5 fingers on one hand, OK?
Yeah. You certainly wouldn't describe yourself as having hundreds of friends of any description, really, would you?
But I don't want hundreds of friends either. I just don't want hundreds of friends, you know what I mean? Having, a friend in need, in my view, is a blinking nuisance.
Yeah.
And to have hundreds of friends, all of them would be in need, if you're a millionaire like Mr. Whelan is, it would be a mega nuisance to me. But anyway, he says he's got hundreds of Jewish friends.
Yeah.
He also, because he referred to the allegation that Malky Mackay had called Chinese people chinks, he also said he's got an awful lot of Chinese friends as well.
And he also said he didn't think it was an insult.
No, he didn't.
Which as he probably thinks in his mind, when he was growing up, perhaps he didn't think it was an insult, but it has always been an insult. And the fact that now people say that it's an insult doesn't make it a new insult. It was always an insult when it was said.
I totally agree. I mean, believe it or not, when we were growing up, Mike, there were TV programmes on telly where... there was one I remember was a white family living next to a black family, and the white family used expressions about the black family to their faces, which in those were said to be amusing, and everybody had a giggle and a laugh about it, which now are racially offensive in a horrible way.
But my point is they were always racially offensive. It's just that times have now changed to the point where the majority of people in this country now realise, actually, that it's not a very nice thing to call somebody.
We were a much more educated country. We had the benefit of it. But you're absolutely right. But look, I'm making light of this, saying that Mr. Whelan said he's got hundreds of Jewish friends, he's got loads of Chinese friends. I don't know whether all these, hundreds of Jewish friends all gather in Chinese restaurants and Mr. Whelan's there or something. I'm not making light of it at all. What I'm saying is, Mr. Whelan, who has had a tremendously successful life as a businessman after a setback in his sporting career, when his leg was broken, famously, we all know about that.
Yeah.
Very successful man. He's done a brilliant job at Wigan, bringing them up 4 divisions, as he reminded us tonight, and establishing them in the Premiership and winning the FA Cup. But he sounded like an old man to me tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't...
Totally out of touch. Totally
completely out of touch.
Unprepared for the backlash which is about to come his way. Because we've seen it at Sheffield United, which is the other story that's made its way onto the front pages this morning.
Right.
They said only last week, this is not a place for mob justice. And I had some sympathy with them as well, because, just because a lot of people petition you, it doesn't mean you have to do what they want. However, as we said last week, with Jessica Ennis suddenly joining in the fray, they couldn't really go anywhere with it. They've now decided to stop him from training at their facilities. They have every right to do that. But it's a bit late for me for them to suddenly be taking the moral high ground, because they could have taken the moral high ground a very, very much longer time ago than this. And they only really did it when sponsors started to pull out, the Jessica Ennis thing happened. Dave Whelan's now going to find, as it has happened already, that one of the sponsors says, well, we're not interested in being associated with Wigan Athletic.
I totally agree. Mr. Whelan sounded very old to me tonight, and my mother is 82.
Yeah.
And people, when they get to that age, look at the world in a completely different perspective. My mum's a lovely woman, I love her dearly and all that, but at 82 you don't look at it the same way as people who are 52.
No.
And Mr. Whelan used to be 52 and he's now not. He's in his 70s. And honestly, I just felt, it's almost like a rant, really, when he was going on about his Jewish friends, his Chinese friends, wouldn't upset me. But you're absolutely right, Mike. The last resort of the scoundrel when it comes to anything involving racism is always, well, I've got hundreds of black friends, when somebody's accused
the news
of
on the back
being
pages,
racist.
I'm just being handed the back pages here, the news on the back page of the Daily Mail is, in addition to Malky Mackay now being investigated by the FA, Whelan is now being investigated by the FA over the comments that he made about Jewish people earlier, saying that they like money.
I mean, talk about digging a hole. He went on about Jewish people like money, and then what's wrong with that? I admire them for that. We all like money, but they like money as well. They're very good at making it. Horribly
just a ludicrous, ludicrous generalisation that anybody...
On the Jewish race.
Yeah, but the point is, it's a ludicrous generalisation that anyone with half a brain just would not make, never mind would endorse in any way whatsoever. Yeah. And apparently as well, not only has he have problems with that, but David Gold, of course, the West Ham owner, has described the comments as offensive.
Yes,
so he's got nobody on his side
Mr. Gold Jewish,
yes, of course. He's got nobody on his side here, Absolutely incredible.
And you're absolutely right to point this out. The first edition of the Daily Mail has just dropped. I mean, talk about digging a hole. Whelan Racism Storm. Wigan Chief says it's OK to use the word chink, and I'm said that because it's in print on the back of the Daily Mail. FA to probe him for saying Jews like money. I said that because it's on the Daily Mail. And then the first paragraph written by Ian Ladyman and Matt Lawton. And Matt Lawton, by the way, has a vested interest in this story because he's the man who uncovered the original story about Malky Mackay exchanging offensive...
A series of offensive and racist
series
text messages. Yeah.
Very offensive text messages with his director of football at the time when he was at Cardiff. And the first paragraph says, Wigan owner Dave Whelan is the subject of a new FA race investigation after making extraordinarily offensive remarks about Jewish people and the Chinese last night. Now, where Matt Lawton's coming from on this is that when the announcement was first made yesterday, wasn't it? It was yesterday morning when it broke, Matt started putting out tweets saying he felt it was an extraordinary decision and pointed out that the FA investigation was still going on. Now, that's when Mr. Whelan then, magically, if you like, issued a sentence saying, my understanding is they're not going to do anything about it. Now, this is what Greg Dyke has said is erroneous.
Yeah.
He said nobody at the FA could have given...
the FA may have now had to consider where their position is as well.
Well, of course they have.
Because they took a ridiculously long time already to look into this affair. If they'd done it quicker than this, everyone would have been better off. But because they thought that Malky Mackay wouldn't be daft enough to try and get himself another job yet, they left lots of time in between. But now that this has happened, I reckon that if they had planned to come out and say, well, it was a private conversation, so we have no jurisdiction, they're going to have to rethink that.
Of course they are. But, by the way, it's not Malky Mackay going and getting a job too quickly. It's an employer giving Malky Mackay a job too quickly. Of course, Malky Mackay wants the job as quickly as possible for two reasons. Firstly, he wants a job. We all like having a job. We need to earn. But secondly, the quicker he gets a job, the more he brushes away the stains of shame which are associated with his behaviour, which has now been investigated.
But if anything, Dave Whelan has now made it 100 times worse.
He has made it 100 times worse.
Unbelievable. This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes. We've got loads more to do. The papers are full of great stories. We've got an awful lot to talk about. I had a terrible day today, though, mind you, driving all over. I spent all day driving, practically, all afternoon. I went 6 times to this place, this school where they do tennis lessons for my kids.
You keep accusing me of banging the desk. You're banging the desk now.
Well,
What's
I'm
wrong
excited.
With
Well,
What's wrong with
a very exciting show. I get a little bit, sometimes I get a little bit fired up. My apologies for that.
It's supposed to be me on the Red Bull, not you.
Yeah, are you going to share that Battenberg cake, by the way? Or have you eaten it all?
No, I haven't eaten it all, no.
Right.
I've had one slice. But
you're not going to eat the whole thing during the whole show, are you?
Yeah, I am. It's not a question...
That can't be good for you.
It's not a question of greed. It's a question of keeping up the sugar content. You know?
But you see, you'll have a sugar rush, and then you'll have a sugar crash. That's what happens.
No, I don't. I because of Battenberg is divided into 4, if you see what I mean. It's got 4 squares you look down at. I cut all the marzipan off the outside of it, because that's not good for you. You don't eat the marzipan? No. I'll throw that away.
Do you?
And I just eat the sponge and the cream between the sponges, but in the different coloured squares. And I eat it on a colour-coordinated basis.
Do you cut it into 4 so that you only eat one colour at a time?
Yes, I do,
Like a child?
Yes, I do. What do you mean, like a child?
Talking about
a child. What nutter takes a picture of his own speedometer in his car?
Well, I'll tell you why, because I meant to ask Dave, our producer, this question, because he's a great mathematician, and I had the most amazing kind of revelation today. I was driving the car, and the speedometer actually...
So you've done 12,345 miles?
No, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 123,456 miles. I mean, what are the chances of actually lining up all those numbers? Now, somebody who was being a smart aleck on Twitter went, actually, it's 1 in 123,456, but I'm not sure that it might be more complicated than that.
When did you spot this figure on your speedometer?
It was just this afternoon, because I was driving...
Was the car stopped, or were you driving at the time?
Well, no, I was driving... Well, when I was driving it, I noticed that it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was like 50, and I thought, blimey, in 6 miles, it's going to be 5, 6. That's going to be quite something, so that's why I took a picture of it. And I was stopped at the time, if you're wondering. Yes,
I am.
I wouldn't take a picture while I was driving.
There's another issue here.
Yeah.
When I spoke to you a few weeks ago, decided to become a 2-car family.
Yeah.
And obviously you were impersonating me, because I've always been a 2-car family.
No, you've got 1 car parked in Portsmouth so that you can keep the space. You don't actually drive it.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, the thing might as well not have an engine. You might just push it out of the way when you ever get down there.
No, that's nothing to do with it. The point is, I've always been a 2-car family. Yeah. I once had 2 Jags at the same time, because I like Jaguars.
Well, like John Prescott? 2 Jags?
Well, not really, no. His were Rex and mine weren't.
Yeah.
But,
also, I should point out that technically you're not a family. There's only one of you.
Well, I am a unit. I am a unit.
You certainly are a unit.
Unit.
I could use a lot of other words.
But
let
me just put this here. So when you suddenly told me you're going to say, and I said, oh right, and you said you're going to get an older car.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you might be talking about a 3 or 4 year old car.
No.
123,000. Yeah. It must be a blinking old wreck.
Well, it's not an old wreck.
I'm amazed it's not fallen to pieces.
Well, it's
particularly
not an old
when
wreck.
you get into it, because when that car was built, probably 20 years ago, the springs weren't.
No, it's a 2001.
The springs weren't designed.
It's 13 years old.
To hold people of your gross weight.
Rubbish.
I'm amazed the suspension hasn't collapsed on the driver's side. I seriously am.
It's a 13-year-old car.
13-year-old car. I wouldn't be seen dead in a 13-year-old car.
No, I know you wouldn't.
I wouldn't even.
You'd rather have what I describe as a sort of travelling salesman C-class Mercedes.
Are you going to?
Who's done rather well that year?
Are you going to tell us how much you paid for this heap of
Yeah,
junk?
I paid $2,000 for it.
$2,000.
Yeah.
$2,000 for a heap of junk with 123,000 miles on the clock, and then you moan about it'd be terrible if I broke down on the M20.
No, I've never said anything. When have I ever said it would be terrible to break down on the M20?
Well,
I've never said that.
Well, if you don't think it would be terrible to break down the M20, then you're deluded, because it is a terrible thing to happen to break down on the M20.
Have you broken down on the M20?
No, not recently.
Well, how do you know then? Not recently.
Well, because I see people who are broke down on the M20,
Really?
and I feel sorry for them.
What are you doing on the M20?
Well, I might be going down to Kent or something, you know what I mean?
When have you ever been down to Kent?
I used to go to Maidstone a lot.
Did you? Why?
I had friends there.
Friends in Maidstone?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes,
You never told me about these friends in Maidstone. You
Well-
told me you didn't like friends.
Well,
you just told me friends were, a pain in the neck.
They're not my friends anymore, I'm afraid.
Really? Why? What happened? Do tell.
No.
Did you fall out with them?
No. Well, I suppose so. But
Go on, this is interesting. You've got to tell us the story.
No, there's no story to
Yeah,
tell.
well, why did you fall out with your friends in Maidstone?
I didn't fall out with my friends. The sort of relationship just expired.
Did
you
it?
see what I mean? Just kind of
Really?
expired. Yeah, just
I don't
went.
believe you.
Just went. It was.
Did you
just like
insult
that.
them?
No, not at all.
Well, why don't they invite you back?
They did, but I didn't respond.
Oh, you just
Life
didn't bother?
got too busy. Life got too busy.
So you just abandoned them then?
No, I didn't abandon
So
them
you
at
accuse
all.
me of abandoning
No,
people.
you're the abandoner, not me. Anyway, getting back to
you
your,
don't want to talk
getting
about
back
that.
to your old wreck.
Listen, I'm very
Getting
happy.
Back to your old wreck.
Listen, I've got
Do
one.
you allow your wife to drive this old wreck?
I haven't got a wife.
Well, the mother of your children, then, with whom you live
She's very
at
welcome
weekends.
to drive the car if she wants to.
Well,
She
you see,
doesn't want to.
That's disgraceful.
She doesn't want to drive it.
That's disgraceful. To put your
She doesn't want to drive it.
To put the mother of your children in a heap of junk.
It's not a heap of junk.
Which could fall to pieces.
It's an M-class Mercedes.
Fall
okay?
to pieces at
This
any
car-
minute.
Hang on, this car will run for about 300,000 miles. All right, that's what Mercedes engines are famous for.
Are you mad?
No, I'm not
Are you
mad.
300,000.
You know, a new one of these cars would
What?
cost you about 45 grand. You know, I've got one for 2,000.
£2,000 a car. I can't believe it.
Why?
I can't believe it. I paid more for a seat at the Wimbledon final last year.
Well,
than
bully
that.
for you.
I mean,
that
you know,
makes you somebody with more money than sense. I think
that is just unbelievable.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Listen, talking about cars, by the way,
go on.
talking about cars,
Yeah.
I've seen a report which I very much uphold, and that is that more and more of us now are unwilling to get out of the way of 999 vehicles.
Yeah.
Because we fear we will be done for some motoring offence if we do.
Yes.
And I understand this
What
perfectly.
do you mean, like if you have to pull into a bus lane or
Well,
something?
you're absolutely right there, mate. Now, a lot of us live in inner cities and that kind of stuff, and you have to go into the cities and come out.
Yeah.
It is a frightening thing driving through London these days, and I wouldn't recommend anybody to do it. Either move out to the home counties and come on a train.
You've actually made
or-
me quite paranoid about this because you've
Or
talked
move
about this
to the
before.
north of
In fact,
London.
only yesterday,
Yeah.
when I was driving down
Yeah.
out of the city after the show yesterday morning, I
Yeah.
had to do exactly as you've described it, which
Yes.
was to pull round a guy who was turning right.
That's right.
Into a bus lane.
Yeah.
And all I could think about was, you
I'm
and
telling you.
your repetitive
I'm-
warnings that I'm now going to get a ticket for doing that.
I am telling you that it doesn't matter what time of day or night now you go into bus lanes. Some bus lanes are 24 hours a day because there's a thing called night buses, okay?
Yeah.
Certainly in London there are night buses. So those lanes have to be free all the time.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that one bus only comes every 20 minutes,
Yeah.
they have to be free all the time. Now, what happens to me sometimes coming out of London, maybe, at breakfast time after we've done a show or something
Yeah.
like that, I'll be going up, a hill which has only got one motoring lane and one bus lane.
Yeah.
And the guy in front of me stops and indicates to turn right. So the guy behind me then starts hooting me and flashing his lights at me, expecting me to go left into the bus lane to go around the car
Right.
that is trying to turn right. But the car that's trying to turn right has got no chance for several minutes
Yeah.
because incoming traffic coming into London at that time
So
of the
why
morning...
doesn't the guy behind
is-
you just go around both of you?
Because he's come too close to my bumper, hasn't
Oh,
he?
yeah.
Because he's a bad driver, you see what I
Okay,
mean?
right.
So he would then have to back up, but he can't because there's a car
Okay,
behind him.
right.
So you get my drift. No way in the world am I going into that bus lane. And on one occasion, I had to actually open the door and get out and say, "What is your problem, pal?"
Really?
And he said, "Why don't you?" I said, "You move over." I said, "You move over." I said, "That's a bus lane, and that's a camera." I pointed the camera to him
Right.
on a lamppost. I
Yeah.
said, "You go on that bus lane, you get fined. You get fined. You know, you're so clever." And a big row and all that, and eventually conceded.
It's a bit
and all that.
unwise, isn't it? Get out of the car.
No, not at all. You have to face up to these things, Mike, and why, do you fancy getting punched in the face or something by some irate driver?
Well, no, I don't fancy it, but that's the point.
We're talking about emergency vehicles. Emergency vehicles. So, a report from the AA says that people are less and less willing to move out of the way because of the restrictions on driving. If you move to the left, you might move into a bus lane. If you move to the right, you're in danger of being prosecuted for crossing a white line because there are cameras everywhere. On an occasion, when you see it coming up fast behind you, get out of the way. If you put your foot down to give yourself a burst of speed to get, into a position where you can pull over,
you can let them through. Yeah,
you can get flashed by a light.
There's also actually been cases of people who have moved into, say, a yellow box in order to make room for the and through a red light sometimes to let the ambulance go past.
People will get done,
and they get tickets as well.
You do get the tickets as well. And the other thing, which increasingly I'm starting to campaign about, is the level...
Another campaign?
Yeah, the level of decibels noise that comes out of these klaxons on emergency vehicles, I believe is illegal. I believe that they can deafen you and burst your eardrums. Because have you ever stood next to an ambulance and it shot past you with those incredible noises?
I try and avoid standing next to them when they're going past me.
And a police car with incredible noises and a fire engine. I'm telling you, I believe people have been deafened. I mean, it's almost like the NHS are looking for...
They can't really be quiet, can they?
It's
loud.
Almost like the NHS are looking for more customers going around deafening people when they put the klaxon on because the noise is so loud. I cringe.
But it needs to be loud.
No, but not that loud. It's far too loud. And anyway, I'm very suspicious about whether the people driving these emergency vehicles actually need the free road access that they're demanding by putting their blue lights on and their klaxons, or whether they are just seeking an advantage over other drivers in our overcrowded streets. It's not a ludicrous
That's an allegation that you can't possibly back up.
I can't back up, but I'm asking whether or not drivers of emergency vehicles who put the blue lights on the klaxons, which deafen people in the community, are just seeking the advantage they have to tell other traffic to get out of the way. Where is the evidence that there's actually, somebody in desperate need in the back of that ambulance? And if you ever...
Why should they provide evidence to you?
And let me tell you this. Look
at the time before you
Hang
start
on a
telling
second.
me
This is very important.
Well, it might be, but
let me tell you this. Let me just tell you this. How often have you had a police car shoot past you, blue lights flashing, screaming klaxons and all that, sirens, and never seen it actually arrive at where it's going? Never. I've never seen it.
Well, because you don't see it arriving.
They just disappear into the ether.
Well, because they're going somewhere
else. They disappear. Yeah, I know, but you would think occasionally, because you're on the same road, you might come to a house that's on fire, and that's why the fire engine's got klaxons on. You might come and find somebody collapsed on the pavement, because that's why the ambulance has got its klaxons on. I never see any evidence of it.
Well, I'm sorry that you haven't been convinced.
I'm
sorry you haven't been convinced. Perhaps we could get somebody who works as a paramedic to inform Mr. Parry about the importance of the job that you do, because I'm sure that he's not right on this one. 08717 223344. Don't forget, coming up this weekend, we've got two fantastic games coming up. Live exclusive commentary, in fact, of Arsenal-Manchester United on Saturday. And coming up on Sunday, it's Crystal Palace against Liverpool. This is TalkSport.
I am a unit.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry, of course. And once again, Mr. Parry, you've shown yourself up to be a total and utter snob when it comes to cars.
Why?
Because Paul has tweeted at IROMG and at the two mics. He says, Mr. Parry is a total snob, banging on about driving an old car. I call it thrifty. And Gary has texted into 81089. He says, yet again, Porky shows a complete lack of connection to his listeners. I work very hard to support my family, free of government benefits. A 2001 Clio is all I can afford. To say he wouldn't be seen dead in this sort of vehicle displays that he has lost touch with the common man. Shame on you, Porky. No. I thought better of you.
No, I haven't. I am with the common man. Believe me, everybody deserves an opportunity to make themselves better. But I have been reminded by a couple of messages here, Mike, that the only people normally who drive cars that go up to 300,000, because you said you're going to drive this 13-year-old heap of junk
it's a Mercedes.
Up to 300,000, the only people who do that are nutters who suddenly put their kids in the back, and you've got two kids, their wife in the front, and then drive overland to China because they think it's great for their children's education to learn how to live in...
That would be, actually. That'd be a great trip.
To learn how to live in a yak in Tibet. Is that your plan?
Well, I don't know.
I tell you what, I don't think the listeners would miss you.
Yeah. Are you sure you mean a yak? Is a yak not a creature?
Yeah.
You don't want to live in a yak, do you, really?
Well,
it's like saying you want to live in a buffalo.
You know those Tibetan tents that look like a hat? Like a big hat?
Yes.
Like a big sort of... Yeah, like a big hat, really.
Like a big hat.
They're called yaks, aren't
I
they?
don't think so.
No, I think they are.
No, I think a yak is actually a creature.
Is it?
Sort of a
Okay.
cow,
Well, they're called
bovine
something like
sort
that.
of creature.
A yet or a yak or something like
Yeti?
that. No. You know what the yeti is. No, but I just find it so amusing that you think it's absolutely normal to go around driving around in cars which could fall to bits at any minute.
Well,
that's all.
it's an old car that's got a great pedigree. Let's
Why
put it
did you
that way.
buy this car? Why did you need a second car?
Well, I just got fed up waiting for taxis, got fed up waiting for trains,
Yes,
fed up waiting for all
yes.
sorts of public transport. And,
So this is your
it's
inner
a four-wheel
London
drive.
car, is it?
And it's a four-wheel drive car as well. So when it snows, I'll be able to drive around. When you'll be sliding about in your crappy C-Class two-wheel drive Mercedes, which you won't be able to move, I'll be happily trampling around all over the snow.
Car envy is a terrible thing.
I haven't got car envy.
You have got car envy.
No, I haven't. Let's talk to a woman.
Whenever I had my Jaguars, and I had 3 of them, I had 4 of them actually at one time.
4
'cause I had-
Jags
'cause I had
carried.
2, yeah. You always wanted to take that Jaguar home.
You kept promising to loan it to me.
On a
you
couple
never did.
On a couple of occasions,
No.
I said, take the car this weekend.
No.
You said, oh, I'm up in London this weekend. You were frightened to be seen in a Jaguar because you know that you and Jaguars don't match. You'd have looked, actually, you'd have looked...
I just didn't.
You
I
looked ridiculous.
I just didn't want to crush myself.
You don't
up
suit Jaguars,
I didn't
Mike.
want to crush myself
Believe
up against
me,
the steering
believe
wheel.
me.
I would have had to rearrange the seating.
You are better off in a heap of old junk that's going to do 300,000 miles. You look better in that than you do in a brand new Jag.
I
believe me.
don't care how I look
I don't
in a
think
car,
Jaguar would
darling.
allow you to drive one of their
Would
cars.
you just shut up for a
Ban you.
second? We've got a guest waiting patiently.
Yeah,
a woman
of
of
course.
great taste, a woman of fine demeanour, Ms. LaDonna Harvey. LaDonna, a very good morning to you.
Well, good morning. I'm broadcasting from my yurt in San Diego.
Excellent.
Excellent. Now, I'm terribly sorry that you had to listen to that volley of abuse, which is what I have
not
to
at
put
all.
up with at
Not
all
at all.
times. I mean, one of the reasons that we wanted to talk to you about Charles Manson, of course, is because he's 80 years of age and he's about to marry a 26-year-old woman. So I'm saying to Porky...
And he's raving mad, of course.
Yeah, and he's raving mad. So I'm saying to Porky, obviously there's hope for him yet. You know, he can still, he
It's
can
a
still
bit
meet
harsh.
the first Mrs. Parry at some point.
That's a bit harsh.
Well, my friend Janet Walsh and I think you're talking to my friend Bill Walsh a little bit later on this morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She and I were talking, and we were just speculating how we would have felt had we been single and heard the news that Manson was getting married.
Right.
Because, you know, at some point when a serial killer, or at least somebody who will order serial killings, is having more action than you are in the romance department, you just really do get a little depressed, don't you?
You certainly do. LaDonna, the big question here is, I mean, obviously this lady of 26 has got her own reasons for wanting to marry the world's most famous mass murderer, you know, who's 80 years of age and incarcerated. Are they allowed under California law, what are they called? Conjugal rights?
Conjugal rights. You can't even say it.
Yeah, conjugal
You can't even
rights.
say it. It's been such a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Are they allowed conjugal rights?
Well, you can't say it because it makes you throw up a little bit in
It
the back
does,
of
yeah,
your
it does,
throat.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The answer is no,
Right.
because he is serving a life term in prison. He is not allowed to have conjugal visits, not even when he's married. The most that they can do is hug at the beginning and the end of their ceremony, and that's it. And
So
frankly,
what-
you know, we don't even want to think about that happening.
No, we don't. But what has this 26-year-old lady given as the reason for her desire to want to marry a guy like Charles Manson?
She's mad
she
as well.
says that
Yeah, she must be. Yeah.
she's crazy like a fox. She wants to be famous, number one, and she's couching this in that, you know, he's an innocent man and I'm going to prove it. And, you know,
Oh,
do you
really?
remember being
Yeah.
26?
Yeah, did
Do you
she?
remember being 26? And you knew everything? Don't you miss that? I miss that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, but LaDonna, I would have thought that at 26 you're bright enough to look up the details of the Manson murders and actually...
Right.
Yeah, it's all on Google now as well. It's even easier.
Yeah, exactly. You just switch on your computer, you put in Manson, you see this mad staring face come at you, and then you read the litany of crime of how he went around bestialising young ladies and getting them to murder people and all this kind of stuff. So how does she think that she's got a new clue to prove that Charles Manson is innocent?
Well, I don't think that she does. She doesn't have a clue. She just has this inherent belief that this wonderful man with the swastika tattooed in the middle of his head
That's right, yeah.
is somehow, you know, not who everybody thinks that
Yeah.
he is.
There's goodness
She's
in it.
deluded.
Yeah. I see that. I think
Goodness.
she also goes by the name of Star, which I guess tells you more than we need to know. But, I mean, the other thing is he's not eligible to apply for parole again until
Until
2027. I mean, we've had this phenomenon in this country as well, where you know, quite often, even from as far away as from here to America, women will write to people who are on death row.
Unbelievable.
And exchange and sort of end up falling in love by correspondence. It's quite a weird phenomenon, isn't it?
Well, it definitely is weird, but, you know, think about it from the point of view of, you know, somebody who perhaps is a little bit controlling. And I think that these women are crazy like foxes.
Yeah.
You know, how best to have a man that you know is not going to see another woman.
Yeah.
Well,
you're on
I
death row.
suppose
you
there
won't
is
be
that.
seeing any other women.
Yeah, I suppose there is that.
Even if he gets parole in 2027, he'll be 92 then, right? So I mean, as she said, I will wait for him. You know, that's usually the great quote, isn't it? I'll wait for Charlie to be released. Hmm?
Right. She's not going to do that.
It won't last more than a few minutes. And we have had a couple of crazies in this country, LaDonna, who married like serial. I don't think Charles Bronson wasn't a killer, was he, Mike? He was a serial bank robber or something. And it's just crazy. It lasts about 12 months, and then they turn around and say he's not the man I thought he was. What a surprise!
Right. Well, how in the hell did you think he was some kind of a man, that he was a wonderful? He's in prison.
Yeah.
What did you think he was?
No, I, absolutely. What sort of life does Manson live inside prison, LaDonna? Because, I mean, long-term prisoners sometimes create their own little empires inside places like San Quentin or wherever he's held. I mean, what is his existence all about? Do we know?
Well, it's pretty austere. However, he did get busted with a cell phone once. So he does have contact with the outside world. She runs his website. He has a website. He has a Facebook page.
He's allowed to have all that. I mean, that's amazing because one of the things that he did so insidiously was he was able to kind of somehow either, you know, sort of brainwash or mind meld people into believing his crazy ideas. So he's kind of still doing that in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, he was, I think the best way to describe him is a cult leader on a very small scale, but still he had that sort of cultish way of drawing people in and then completely taking over their lives. And, you know, in doing so, of course, he was able to convince them to take other people's lives in some of the most horrific ways possible.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, LaDonna, all he wanted was a lot of sex with a lot of naive young women, wasn't it? That was basically his raison d'etre.
That's what all cult leaders end up wanting.
Yeah, exactly. And also,
every one of them.
And just to remind our millions of listeners, he even claimed that it was John Lennon who told him to go around doing all this, didn't he? In that in the song on the White Album, Piggies. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but do you remember he took over Dennis Wilson's house?
Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, yeah.
Of the Beach Boys, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those weird things that you kind of go, wow, he did what?
Yeah.
But he took over a Beach Boys house back in the 60s.
Poor old Dennis wasn't all there at the time, really, was he?
Well, he's not anywhere now, I'm afraid.
No, I know,
Dennis,
but I mean, at that particular time, he wasn't with it.
LaDonna, I'm right, aren't I, that Dennis Wilson dived off a boat in Venice Beach and never surfaced, is that right?
He was actually the only Beach Boy who surfed, and he managed to get into his cups a bit and go for a swim.
That's right, yeah, and unfortunately.
Well, LaDonna, a pleasure as ever. Thank you so much for
LaDonna, thank you very much
steering
indeed.
us through the choppy waters of Mr. Manson, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Do you remember somebody, Mike, married one of the Cray brothers before they died?
Yeah, well, the Cray brothers, one of the Cray brothers famously did get married, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying.
His widow was at the funeral. And all. I know she killed herself, I think, didn't she?
No, hang on. There's more than one here because
because the one who married
Excuse me.
Ronnie was the one that killed herself, I think, wasn't she?
Right, okay. Well, I'm talking about when he was in jail. It must have been Reggie then.
Yeah.
She either got married just before he went to jail or when he was in jail because she wrote a book saying that when she tried to make a life for herself after her husband, Mr. Cray, was jailed, she used to go out and was astonished.
You don't have to call him Mr. Cray, by the way.
Well, I can't remember which one it is, Ronnie or Reggie.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember. She'd go out and when people would say, oh, what's your husband do? She'd say, oh, he's in jail. Oh, really? What did he do? Oh, he killed people. And then when she revealed it was a Cray, these guys used to sort of rush for the loo and climb out the window and all this kind of stuff because they realised that Cray's henchmen would be about. But she's still alive because she writes books now on criminology and all sorts of things.
Right.
She got access, to criminals. But the point I'm making is that the Charles Bronson thing was ludicrous. A lady I remember in flowing sort of Asian gown and all that turned up at the prison. She got married and then, of course, 10 months later, it was all, I think I've made a dreadful mistake. I don't. Why do these women do it? Why do they do it? I've no idea.
strange phenomenon. Lots of people pointing out that your suggestion that the Nepalese tent is called a yak. In fact, it's a yurt.
Oh, it's a yurt. Yeah. Well, Ladonna just corrected me.
Well,
there.
I've helpfully tweeted out a picture of said yurt
so
that you can see exactly what it's like.
And they do look like a hat, don't they?
They do. Well, a bit like a hat, but
a very big hat.
Certainly
obviously.
not. I'll send out a picture of a yak as well, so you know the difference.
Okay.
We are
helpful,
the two mics. This is Talk Sport, and we've got lots more coming up next. This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. How about this from Mike, who's texted into at the two mics? What day did Mike buy his Battenberg cake? Surely he would have had to buy it over 4 days. Because obviously, due to your colour-coded shopping, which a lot of people have been trying to follow this week, you can't buy a Battenberg cake on any one day, can you?
Yeah, it comes on the yellow because of the marzipan around the edge of it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And talking of the marzipan, Carla says, what an absolute waste of the best part of a Battenberg cake. Because you don't eat the marzipan part.
Too much sugar in it. I think it might rot my teeth, so I just shave it off. And
so you just eat the rest of the cake and you think that'll be fine?
Yeah.
You don't think that'll rot your teeth?
No, it's not as intensely sugarified.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Sugarified as the sponge hasn't got as much sugar in it as the marzipan.
Yeah,
Simple
no,
as
that's probably true. Well, Freddie says, Porky eats cake the same way he does his shopping. # colour coding. And William says on the car front, make sure you don't break down on the M63 MG,
That's right,
otherwise you will be in trouble. And
Absolutely.
Trucker Timmy says, that's a bit of a paradox from Porky, not being seen dead in a 13-year-old car. The hearses are often 20 years old.
Don't talk to me about hearses.
So you could be in that, couldn't you?
Well, a hearse came out and pulled into traffic in front of me the other day. Didn't half shake me up, I'm telling you. Now, listen, Mike, we've been colleagues for a long time and all that, and you make as many mistakes as I do in the heat of the moment. OK, I got yak and yurt wrong. But
well,
now
that's quite a big thing to get wrong. A yak is a cow-like creature.
You're sending out pictures of yaks to try and embarrass me.
Well, no, I'm sending out
funny?
so that you can tell the difference between a yak and a yurt. A yurt is obviously a dwelling, as you described it. It looks a bit like a hat.
It does.
More like a tent. But actually, what the other thing is, really, is a yak, which is more of a bovine-type creature.
Yeah, you send out. It's very smart, actually. It's like a big white tent with a very colourful door. Why has it got a flagpole with a red flag flying from the top of it?
Well, maybe you're supposed to fly a flag from it, that's why.
I don't know, maybe that's the Tibetan flag, because that obviously is in Tibet, because that's where...
You think it's a Tibetan flag, do you?
Yurts and yaks come from, yeah.
I'm not sure if you're right about that.
Right, here we go. Here we go.
Mike, here we go.
Well, this is Keith. Sending in a tweet saying, to me, don't take any nonsense from old MG Mike. You weren't far off. A Mongolian tent is a yurt. So, it begins with Y.
You're ridiculously far off. A yak is an animal and a yurt isn't.
Yeah, one here from John. I think he's...
Do you know what a ute is, by the way?
I don't know what a ute is.
It's in Australia. It's what they call a 4x4. It's a ute, as in short for utility vehicle.
Oh,
mate.
Really? Yeah. A ute? Oh, that's good to know. John says, I can't believe that you think... Mike Parry, this is directed to you, by the way, from John. I can't believe that you think Mike Parry has less chance of pulling a bird than an 80-year-old serial killer in jail in California. Ha, 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 ha. See, that's the reputation you're giving me.
It's true. Now, I know you want to talk about obesity, which is a massive problem, but I want to talk to you, just before we do that, about chocolate, because we're going to give you a test on chocolate in a minute. Mitch Todd.
It's a big story, this.
Mitch Todd is a guest that we wanted to get on because you told us last Monday night that we were going to run out of chocolate in less than, 6 years? Something like that. Yeah. I'm not sure it's true. Let's find out what Mitch says. Mitch, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm back.
Yeah, I know you
Mitch.
are.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't want you to come back, but other people overruled me, so we've got you back anyway. Now, listen, is it true that chocolate's going to run out in 6 years?
The chocolate apocalypse.
Yes.
It's going to be a little bit scary. There are some forces at work that are going to bring the supply way, way down, and the demand in the meantime is going way, way up. So best case, it just gets a lot more expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, you see, the problem here is, Mitch, we need to re-educate people. One of the reasons why we're going to run out of chocolate is because too many people are becoming snobs and they're eating dark chocolate rather than milk chocolate.
I thought it was because the Chinese were buying up all the cocoa plants.
Well, if you let me finish, I was about to say the Chinese are buying 80% of chocolate in the world.
Yeah.
There's a fungus in the cocoa tree in West Africa.
Is there?
Yeah, fungi are killing all the trees. Put all these together, you've got a perfect storm in the chocolate market. Scientists have produced a cocoa bean that is 7 times more productive than the current cocoa bean, but the result is that whatever comes out of it doesn't taste like chocolate. Am I right, Mitch?
You are right.
Thank you.
The demand has gone way up in China.
Yeah.
Dark chocolate uses up more of the plant.
Thank you.
There are a couple of different funguses or diseases that are decimating the plant. A couple of other things, the weather or the climate change in the area is also causing the production to go down. And finally, once again, we have to blame Ebola on something else.
Exactly.
A lot of the chocolate, it's not that the plants have Ebola or that the plants are being grown in places where the Ebola is broken out, but the people who harvest the plants are coming from countries where Ebola is a problem, and it's limiting.
So it's limiting the harvest, in other words.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Absolutely.
something else we can.
But why can't we just plant cocoa plants and trees in other parts of the world? Because they only take a couple of years to actually come to fruit.
No,
don't
they
they?
take decades.
They'll only grow in a very narrow region of the planet around the equator.
That's right.
So it's Africa and South America.
That's right.
Pretty much it.
This, I'm sorry, Mitch, but this Ophir in the studio with me thinks that you can. He thinks you can plant a couple of cocoa beans in the back garden of a town like Nottingham in the Midlands in England and get a cocoa tree.
Well, why about you put it in a greenhouse?
No, well, don't work in a greenhouse.
Why not?
Because a greenhouse is not big enough for a cocoa tree. It'll go straight through the roof, smash the glass. So you can't have a.
You need some really big greenhouses.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of cocoa plants.
Yeah.
To produce all the chocolate that we're...
But surely it's not beyond the wit of science to actually come up with a way of recreating the way that they grow these trees.
Well, I've just told you.
in Africa.
They're producing this new cocoa seed, right? Cocoa bean.
trying to talk to Mitch here.
Hang on, I'm telling you, the cocoa bean that they're trying to produce is 7 times more productive than currant, but it doesn't taste like chocolate, does it, Mitch?
No, and a lot of the things that we grow now don't taste good anymore. A lot of the crops...
Yeah.
That's a particular problem in America.
Right.
Listen, Mitch, I'm so disappointed that you've come on here as a chocolate expert and actually backed up Mike Parry's theory.
Thank you.
Because, hardly
I'm backing
anybody...
up both of you. I think you're both right.
You think we're both right? Well, there we are. Well, listen, Mitch, a pleasure as ever. Thank you very much indeed.
Mitch, thank you very much indeed.
It actually says that we're both right. Surely it must be possible to
No,
grow...
I'm more right than you.
Well, of course you would say that.
I'm more right than you.
Yeah, well, it's not a question of being more right than me.
What's the big... Which country consumes more chocolate than anybody else?
The chocolate quiz is coming up later on.
Oh,
right?
but
and I'll be asking the questions. So I'm not going to be answering any questions, just in case it somehow skews the questions.
Well,
I'm
not going to push you on that because you gerrymander the answers anyway. So
not at all.
That'll all come later.
Now, we want to talk about Formula One coming up.
What's your favourite form of chocolate?
My favourite form of chocolate?
Yeah.
The kind that you can eat, obviously.
No, mine is Easter eggs. Easter egg chocolate tastes better and different to any other chocolate.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because we're going to be giving you a chocolate tasting test in which you're going to be asked to identify.
Good. I like a bit of chocolate.
So don't stuff your face full of Battenberg cake.
Okay.
In fact, I quite like a piece of Battenberg cake with a cup of tea, if you don't mind saving some.
All right, okay.
If that's
I'll give
all
you
right
a
with
piece.
you.
I'll give you a piece.
Because we're going to be giving you 3 individual pieces of chocolate, and we're going to ask you to identify what they are. So it'll be a kind of chocolate porky taste test, which will be fascinating.
What do you mean, what they are? Chocolate is chocolate.
Well, no, it's a particular type of chocolate bar. We want you to say what it is.
Oh, okay. I can do that. I can do that.
I'm sure you can, because you do eat a lot of chocolate. Now, coming up, we're going to talk in the next hour about your good mate Lewis Hamilton and this showdown that's going in the desert in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I don't like that Nico Rosberg's attitude at all. They had like what I can only describe as a sort of come on down style interview with all the drivers tonight.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No.
3 of them sitting in one row and 3 of them sitting in their own front. Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton.
Well, why don't you like Nico
Alonso.
Rosberg?
Well, because Lewis Hamilton was being very amenable and what's the word about not causing bitterness? He's being conciliatory, right? And saying, well, we'll have to see how the race goes at the weekend and, sometimes things are out of your control. And when Rosberg was asked what, he said, well, no, Lewis can affect the race. He can affect the race by not driving aggressively. This is a man who put Hamilton out of a race earlier in the season by driving right into his back
but
of his
everybody
car.
knows, as I've said to you many times, that Lewis Hamilton is generally speaking the aggressor on the racetrack.
No, I don't think that's
true
at all.
And that's why he's top of the drivers' championship.
Rosberg has a very evil look to me. The man. I mean, I don't mean literally a killer, but he professionally he has a determination.
Oh yeah. Well, they have to have a ruthless streak. These guys. Otherwise they would never be able to succeed in what they do.
Getting very serious for a moment, isn't it? Sad to read that Michael Schumacher now appears to be in a wheelchair, unable to speak or function or communicate. I just can't believe the human tragedy there is so enormous. A man who was the fastest thing in the world, obviously he was in a car, but Man who had the world at his fingertips, man who had a £200 million fortune, he conquered the world, and then one moment of just, what?
Bad luck, really.
Luck, yeah, you're not
no more
it's
than
a
that.
rock, yeah, on his
It
skis.
is. Yeah, very shocking. We're also going to have a look at what's going on the back page of the papers. Also, I'm hoping that you will have prepared slightly better than you have up until now for your Porky Vision detailing of what's been on the television over the course of the week. We haven't had to use the old the Porky siren this week so far, because you haven't given away any. But somebody actually, believe it or not, complained about you giving away the plot of Superman 2.
Come off, it's been around for 15 years.
So I mean, even I have to defend you there and say that that's not entirely fair.
By the way, I know we're going to review the papers later, but you've got to point this out on the back of the Daily Mirror on the night when everybody else is going on, things about Dave Whelan, Wigan, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They've got a story claiming that ITV want to once again take the Saturday night Premier League football highlights, i.e. Match of the Day, back onto ITV.
Well, that's because they're going to have no football, are they, after the Champions League's been taken off them by BT Sport? They're going to have nothing to show, really, apart from the FA Cup.
That happened. It
didn't work, did it?
It didn't work, and I don't want to be critical, because Brian Barwick was in charge. He's a very good mate of mine, Brian Barwick, top TV man and former chief executive of the FA, but for one reason or another, the general public were unable to turn their affections from the BBC to ITV.
Yeah. Finally, one further correction on your confusing the Yaks with Yurts.
Yes.
Dave on the M5 says Yurts are from Mongolia, not Nepal. But then he spells Nepal with an A.
I said Mongolia.
You said Nepal.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I never mentioned Nepal.
You said Nepal.
Nepal is where Kathmandu is, right?
Yeah.
And Kathmandu's full of goats and people who make sweaters. I know exactly. No, it is. It is.
Don't you think that's a bit of a generalisation?
Cashmere sweaters come from Nepal.
Do they?
Don't they?
I thought they came from Scotland. Mine come from Scotland.
Rubbish.
My cashmere sweater that I've got here is made in Scotland.
Rubbish. Well, it's made from the goat that's only bred in Nepal.
Really?
The cashmere goat.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm certain. No, I'm certain.
You can't be serious. I've got a bone to pick with you about those ceramic penguins as well coming up in the next hour. Loads more to come here on TalkSport with the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on, we will have a chocolate quiz for Mr. Parry as well. We might even do it in this hour, actually, depending on how things go. We're going to have a look at the back pages. And very kindly, Mr. Parry in the break there has come up with a piece of Battenberg cake with the marzipan intact around the side. So
yes, absolutely.
I'm going to enjoy that. I shall have a bit of that.
So you've actually said a good word about me for the first time in our 5-hour show.
I say very many good words
instead of trying to mock and deride me, because I'm forward-thinking. Now, talking about forward-thinking, right, what has my campaign to raise the bar and widen the goals, which is something that I've been banging on about for years, and which I'm going to formalise into a proper campaign in the new year and look to the football authorities
so many campaigns
to start acting on it, right? What has that campaign for me to save football in this country got to do with a report that's been published overnight which says that fatness, obesity, is costing this country £47 billion a year?
And how many times are we going to read this story without anything ever being done about it? I mean, we had the Olympic legacy, didn't we, in 2012, where supposedly loads of people were going to be taking up, all sorts of different games that they never thought of doing. They were going to be swimming more. They were going to be playing tennis more. They were going to be playing football more. It doesn't appear to be the case.
Listen to this. Cancer deaths soaring among fat people. Shock figures reveal obesity costs the United Kingdom £47 billion a year. Campaigners fear cases of the disease are going to rocket, that's cancer, without action to tackle the crisis, right?
Yeah.
In the borough of Copeland, Cumbria alone, where 3/4 of adults are, termed as too fat, i.e. obese, the risk of dying from cancer is up 30% over the last decade. I mean, it's absolute scandalous, Mike, and it's beyond a joke. Now, let me put this to you.
Right.
I've been trying to tell you about the cinema in Malvern for a couple of weeks now.
You have actually.
You show no interest.
Well, no, we've always just got something else to talk about.
Well, let me tell you this.
What's so special about this cinema in
Right.
Malvern?
Well, it's one of Britain's oldest cinemas. They've ripped out the inside of it, right? And they've had to because the seats are now too narrow for the people of Malvern to sit in.
Really?
Because everybody's getting so big, OK? They've reduced the capacity of the seats by 40, down to 340 from 380, because their own studies show that since the 50s, when the cinema was built, the average person is 7 inches wider.
Wow.
Well, not 7 inches wider.
7 inches wider?
No, 7
That's
inches.
a lot, isn't it?
7 inches larger around the waist.
OK.
Since 1951,
circumference.
Since 1951, the average person is 7 inches wider around the waist. These are all facts and figures, OK?
Yeah.
The new seats are 21 inches wide.
Yeah.
compared to 17 inches
Okay.
in the old one.
So that's 4 inches wider.
But this is the factor now, which adds to all this, which I say is relevant to my Raise the Bar campaign.
Funnily enough, you have talked about this as well with regard to seating in stadiums, because there are some stadiums that you go to now, depending on the kind of seats you're in, which are very, very small.
Far too small.
Yeah.
I mean, let me just finish this. This is the vital statistic. Women in Malvern going to this cinema are 1.5 inches taller now than they were in 1951.
Right.
Now, I keep telling you that the average size of a man is 4.5 inches taller than when the rules of football were written up in 1863.
Yes.
Well, that is absolutely in line with a woman being 1.5 inches taller since 1951.
Well, people are just generally bigger, aren't they?
Yeah, so the football pitches are going to have to get bigger, the goals are going to have to get bigger.
I don't see. That's the leap that I don't see.
That's
the leap that I don't see, because there isn't. You haven't yet shown me any evidence at all.
Well, I'm telling you
that actually, more goals are being scored, or fewer goals are being scored, or anything like that.
I'm telling you, man, that's what's going to come. Now, the point is, with all this obesity going on, and we all know how it trickles down into society. Ambulances are having to be bigger to carry fatter people.
Right, coffins are bigger, aren't they?
Coffins are bigger.
I know you don't like to talk about those.
Mortuaries are bigger. The slabs in mortuaries are bigger. The slabs that pathologists have to work on bodies are bigger.
Yeah.
Everything is bigger. Hospital beds are getting bigger.
Right.
Why don't we see this coming like a tidal wave towards us, which is going to change the world? And football's going to have to come into line.
Well, yeah, but even if you forget about the football argument aside, I mean, talking about there must be at least one story a week now about the obesity problem in this country, but nobody really does anything about it. What happened to that place that was offering? They were supposed to be offering money to people to lose weight. Do you remember they were going to offer people something like food vouchers or something or other if they would voluntarily lose weight? Which a lot of people would say, well, isn't that an incentive for people to put a load of weight on?
Yeah, of course
go to the NHS and say, if I lose this weight, you'll give me a cheque for 30 quid.
Of course, I remember that.
Yeah.
Now I've got another report here, because you see, I'm well up on these things, Mike. With the greatest respect, you come into these shows not terribly well briefed on your subjects.
Listen, I absorb information constantly. It's almost like osmosis with me.
Whereas,
I'm constantly listening to things. I'm constantly watching things.
Yeah, okay,
I'm constantly reading newspapers, as you are. So the difference between you and I actually is that the information I absorb is the correct information. So, for example, I would never suggest that a yurt, which is a dwelling, would actually be a yak. And that's the difference between you and I.
All right. Well,
and if anyone wants to know the difference, I've tweeted them out already.
That's just a slip of the tongue. Yes, I know you have. Now then, that old heap of junk that you're driving around in, okay?
The Mercedes.
Yeah, this is, you say it's a Mercedes.
It's a Mercedes.
It's a 13-year-old Mercedes.
Yeah, so what?
Well, it's not a Mercedes.
And what is it then?
Well, it's almost like a... Well, I was going to say it's almost vintage, but that's giving it too good a title.
It's not a vintage Mercedes,
no. Well, it's a knackered old Mercedes, right? So your heap of junk.
Well, you've already shown complete disdain for. So the poor person that has to drive your car after you've driven it, because you'll presumably abandon it after 3 years.
No, 2.
Oh, after 2 years.
I change it after 2.
Why?
Yeah. Well, because I like to change it after 20,000 miles.
Really?
And I drive a car with more than 20,000 miles on the clock.
Well,
how much does yours
cost?
Mine
had 123,000.
Yeah, just the extra 100,000. Anyway, look, it's relevant talking about this, because the other issue, which is pointing towards obesity in this country, your car is 13 years old.
Yeah.
The new model of that car of yours will be about 4 or 5 inches wider than the one that you drive round in.
It probably is slightly wider, yeah.
Of course it is. Now, do you know what's happening now? Right, 1,400 car park prangs a day.
Yeah.
In car parks. I mean, I'm talking about, car parks.
Multi-storey car parks.
Multi-storey car parks. Car parks for out-of-town supermarkets.
I'll tell you, there's probably a prang a day in the TalkSport car parks. It's so small.
Prang a day in the TalkSport car park. And do you know why? The cars are so much wider. And why are the cars so much wider? Because people are bigger and fatter.
No, because people like to drive in bigger cars now if they can.
No.
If they could afford it, it's a safer way to drive.
No, what I'm saying is, although the cars are getting bigger and wider, the actual people who run the car parks are not making the spaces any wider.
No.
Because they have to reduce the number of spaces.
That is a function of their greed, actually, because what they want to do is squeeze as many car park spaces in. You know what they should do here, which they do in New York an awful lot, and you remember this, is where they have like a vacant lot and they turn it into a car park.
Yeah.
They had those they're sort of lifts, basically, so that you can put 2 cars in one space. Yeah. So you can put one on top of the other.
Right.
I don't know why they don't do that here, instead of actually trying to squeeze more and more cars in.
They tried it in London behind Fleet Street once, but one of the cars fell off the lift, seriously.
No, really?
Killed the guy who was in it. Really? I remember it. Yeah, it was a terrible thing, yeah. In fact, was going to say I met his wife years later. But anyway, there you go. Now,
under what circumstances?
Well, whatever. It was very unfortunate, obviously.
Of course.
Now, what I was going to say is about these situations is, there is a rash of programmes these days on television which are dated.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, at the moment, it's Grantchester, OK, which I've told you about in my TV review.
Yeah, we're going to do that later.
Yeah, now that's based, like, in the 50s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got Heartbeat, which is based in the 60s.
No, that's an old show.
Yeah, it is an old show, I agree. I saw
Downton Abbey?
Well, no, that's going way back. What I'm saying is that the average sort of car in the 60s, for instance, your Ford Anglia, right?
Yeah.
Your Ford Anglia would not be able to accommodate you and me in the front seat now at all.
Right.
A, would be too heavy, it would bust the suspension, right?
Well, because the tyres were tiny as well, weren't they?
Tyres were tiny,
thin tyres.
but they're so narrow as well, and you wouldn't be able to close the doors.
Right.
You wouldn't, if you and I got into a Ford Anglia, if any of our listeners can remember what a Ford Anglia was
They
like.
used one in one of the Harry Potter films. So
They
people will remember it.
did.
The flying Ford Anglia.
Grint. Was that Rupert Grint?
Yeah, Grinch.
Grinch flying around
Grinch, you're right.
in Anglia, it's kind of stuff. And so you couldn't do it these days. So you've got to build bigger and bigger cars and bigger people. So all I'm saying
My
is...
parents had an Austin Cambridge.
Yeah, well, that was quite a big car.
That was a big car,
That was quite
yeah.
a big car. Do you know what? As a kid, I thought it was called the Oxford Cambridge because, of course,
there was a
Oxford
Morris
University.
Oxford. There was a Morris Oxford.
There's a Morris Oxford.
And there was an Austin Cambridge.
Austin Cambridge, and I
Yeah.
used to call it the Oxford Cambridge and all that kind of stuff, you know. My mate had an Anglia, right, and he was ever so proud when he got it. He was about 18, and he'd been working, since he was 16, and had a paper round when he was about 10 or something. Saved loads of money, got this Ford Anglia. And we decided we'd go out it one night and pick up a couple of girls, right? So we go out in this Ford Anglia and pick these girls up, and they were sitting in the back. And we went over a bump in the road. I don't know why there was a bump in the road. There was some sort of...
They didn't
bump.
have speed bumps in those days.
No, they didn't have speed bumps. He must have hit the curb or something. But anyway, what happened was the wheels didn't come off. But the hubcaps all came off
Right.
because he'd got these flash hubcaps to make the wheels look like they're going around faster. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now as he hit the curb, and all the hubcaps started rolling up the road ahead of the car because the car wasn't going very fast. Yeah. Oh yeah, and it was a humiliating experience for him. And I never went out in that car with him again because it made me look so stupid. But
And you've been a car snob ever since, it would seem.
well, I have been a bit of a car snob. I mean, one of the reasons I'm a car snob is I was brought up with my dad driving a Morris Minor.
Did it have the indicator that came out the side?
Yes, it did, yeah, and it had wood all over the back.
Very naff.
It was like a wooden car.
Yeah.
Imagine driving around in a wooden car.
I know.
That would do several mental damage years on.
I once
It didn't
bought,
mean
I
mental
once
damage.
bought a car for $1. We used to call it a Dollarmobile when we were living in New York because they
What?
remember they used to have those wooden station wagons, they called them.
Yeah.
They had the wood down
Yeah,
the
that's
side.
right, yeah.
And this was like this massively old car, but it was huge. It was from
Yeah.
about 1985 or
It
something
probably
like
had
that.
like a 6-litre engine.
And it belonged to our friend John Carney, the lawyer.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
couldn't-
right,
and he,
yeah,
and he
yeah.
didn't want to park it in Manhattan anymore because it was
Right.
so expensive. And
Right.
we were in a bar one night and he said, do you want it? And I said, yeah, because I go play golf at the weekends.
Yeah.
He said, you can have it for $1.
Yeah.
So I gave him $1 and I bought the car.
And where did you keep it?
I kept it on the street.
On the street?
Yeah.
Didn't know you could keep cars on the street.
I
in
kept it
Manhattan.
on the street. You just had to move it from side to side every morning when the cleaners came down.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
An odd arrangement. I didn't like driving in New York.
So that was an old heap of junk as
Yeah.
well. Served me very well.
yeah.
Right, Paul
well, you see,
Parry,
you're used to driving around in junk
just
cars.
look into the light for a moment because it's that time. We've already got a request from Lawrence near Morecambe who says to the two mics, why do you have the quiz so late into the night? Some of us have to be up at 6:30 and we like to see how intelligent old Porky is. So maybe we should do the quiz a little bit earlier than we were
What time
planning.
is the quiz?
We'll have a word with Dave behind the glass. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport Extra Time with the two mics. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. We've got loads and loads of tweets coming in, Mike. I've got more of them to read out to you. William says all the ambulances, police and fire engines are racing to the M63, Porky, which is not bad at all, is it? And let's see, where's that other one? Here's one from Terry saying, serious subject tonight, but Porky schools are worldly with live in a yak, which I think is quite an interesting
And here's one
one.
here from William. I'm determined to read this one out. It says, to the two mics, have to give Porky 10 out of 10 for expert knowledge of cocoa trees and chocolate. Thank you very much,
Well,
William.
hang on a second.
Thank you very much indeed.
Graham, who lives in Mexico, who calls himself the doctor, he said, what did that chap say? Cocoa trees only grow in South America and Africa? Rubbish. I have one in my garden in Mexico.
Well, how close is Mexico to the equator? It's not very close, is it?
Well, it depends which bit of Mexico you're talking about. I
Well,
suppose.
is there anywhere in Mexico close to the equator?
Well, it goes down towards Central America, doesn't it? So it's not a million miles away from the equator, but
exactly.
it's not right on it.
I think the equator goes through somewhere like Belize.
I think you're about right there.
So I would say now somebody is questioning how tall I am. I said that if I was in Buffalo, where there's 5 feet of snow, only 9 inches of my head would stick out above the snow. Somebody here is questioning that and saying, I think you're only 5'7" tall at best, Porky. For every inch you are under 5'9", I should donate £100 to charity. Well, I am 5'8" and 3/4.
£1,000 to charity, I think you said.
That's no, £100. I'm 5'8" and 3/4 inches. You round that up to 5'9" inches. Believe me.
Okay, now
you can believe me because I'm a
seeker of truth and justice.
Seeker of truth and justice.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about Formula One coming up later on in this hour because it is the sort of showdown in the desert where Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton will decide who is going to be the drivers' champion of the season.
Yep.
Over in America, they've got other problems though because it's very hot, of course, in Abu Dhabi. Very cold at the moment in Buffalo, and I've just been told that NFL spokespeople have said that the Buffalo Bills game, which was due to take place at the weekend, has been moved to Monday night, and it's going to be played in Detroit. But we're going to talk to Bill Walsh now, who's a weatherman in the United States, who can perhaps explain to us whether we're going to get any of this massive snow, because they had, I think, something like 70 inches of snow at the last count in Buffalo in a space of a couple of days. Bill, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Hi,
we're
Bill.
very
good, thank
very
you.
well indeed. Now, I mean, my sister lives in Connecticut, and she texted me not that long ago to say they're expecting 70 inches of snow in Buffalo tonight. They've had 50 inches already. I had to reread it because I thought it was a mistake. I thought she'd added a 0 by mistake. But how much snow have they actually had now in Buffalo?
Well, they've had really it's crazy, between 75 inches to 90 inches.
90 inches.
90. Can you imagine that much snow? And the real odd part about it is the way the city is lined up. On one side of the city, they had about 6 to 7 inches of snow. On the other, they've had, like I said, 75 to 90 inches of snow because of the way the lake effect snows have it was almost like a snow machine, just kind of blowing cold air across that warm lake, and it just didn't move. And it was just a big snow machine dropping all that snow on that side of the city. So really, it's amazing.
But it's amazing. But, Bill, in this country, we envy the way you Americans handle snow because both old Mike Graham and myself both lived in New York. When it came down in New York, within a few hours, the snow was all cleared off the sidewalks and there was a mountain 5 foot tall of snow between the sidewalk and the road because you're used to dealing with it. In this country, when 2 inches of snow comes down, this country grinds to a halt. So thank God...
No, it doesn't. Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're telling me that they don't drive in London when it snows. It slows things down.
Well, I mean...
Well, all we need is about an inch of snow, and Heathrow Airport gets shut down, basically.
And all the motorways closed down on the way to the airports because we can't cope with it. What's going to happen with this snow, Bill, if the temperatures don't change? Because, for instance, we have friends who live in North New York State who have snow on the ground, usually from October to March.
Oh, yeah, they have a lot of snow. In fact, they've got so much snow now, they don't know where to put it in Buffalo, and they're moving it as much as they can. Some streets haven't even been touched yet because there's just so much. But what they're doing is they're piling it up, and the unfortunate part is it started snowing again tonight, and they're going to get another maybe 12, 15, 20 inches of snow on top of the snow, and then over the weekend it's going to warm up a little bit. And guess what? It's going to melt a little, and that's going to be water on top of snow, and that's not good for folks. People who have their roofs and their homes and things like that.
That sounds very dangerous, doesn't it?
This sounds like a nightmare. Sounds like a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
Question, Bill, for us, I suppose, to know the answer to is this weather system that brought the snow, is there any danger of that coming anywhere across the Atlantic? Because last year when you had those big snowstorms, what we got at the other end of them was a sort of a very stormy period just with rain because it wasn't cold enough for snow. Where's this weather system going?
Well, this type of storm is this type of lake effect really wouldn't. This really wouldn't travel all the way over to London. If we have an upper level low that's helping to spin that up, that itself may cross the North Atlantic and then head on up toward the UK. And again, that one, obviously spells some rain showers depending on the temperatures and whatnot there, even snow, of course, in parts of the UK. But at this point, it's not going to be a major impact. It doesn't look like right now for the UK from this type of storm. This is more of a lake effect trajectory, more of a mesoscale type storm versus the big type of nor'easters that come up across the northeast U.S. coast, and then they head across back over toward Ireland, the UK, and back on into into London. One of my favorite cities, by the way. I love London. My God.
Yeah, we love London and New York. Now, Bill, what is the political situation in America regarding this extreme weather? Because in this country, there is a certain lobby of people who blame all extremes of weather on climate change, on global warming, on the greenhouse effect. You name it, it's all down to man's inability to control the burning of fossil fuels. Do you have a very active lobby who have the same sort of point of view in America?
Oh, yes, we do. We have people that blame they'll blame snow, and they'll blame climate, they'll blame big storms, they'll blame hurricanes on climate change, and then there's the other, just the other side that says no, it's not climate change. But sure, it's been very politicized here in the States in some ways, and some people do. It's like anything in politics. You can take it and move it and bend it whatever way you like it. So it's there are people that talk about it that way, and they'll say, yeah, it's global warming. Yeah, look at the 90 inches of snow up in Buffalo.
Sure.
So
it sounds like warming to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like warm.
Now, Bill, I want to put a proposal to you, and I want you to take this seriously, please, because my broadcasting.
Yeah, this will be good, Bill.
No. Imagine the world's biggest oil tanker. OK, but there's no oil in it. And what you do is you take all this snow in Buffalo and you shovel it into the world's biggest oil tanker and you freeze it. And you then...
How do you get it into the oil tanker?
Well, you shovel it in.
With a shovel?
You shovel it in. Well, with loads of shovels. And you then take it to an arid country in the middle of Africa which hasn't got any water and hasn't got any plants or anything like that, and you transfer it to that country. That should be a viable proposition, shouldn't it?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I've been thinking about that. You dump it on.
You're as mad as he is, Bill.
No. Excuse me. This is a very viable idea. I mean, instead of sending overseas aid to corrupt dictators,
so are you saying that you would allow it to melt in the pipes while it was on its way to Africa?
No.
Well, how would you keep it frozen?
You'd get a load of oil tankers, but you'd clean all the oil out in the middle of it, right? Yeah. You would fill them full of snow.
That takes about 2 years for a start.
No, it doesn't. No, you'd fill them. Well, you'd have a fleet of tankers ready. You'd then fill them full of all this snow in Buffalo, right? Because there's a lot of it. I mean, like hundreds of millions of tons of it.
How do you get the tanker to Buffalo?
You have the lakes. You can come up to the St. Lawrence River, the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Thank you very much, Bill, for filling that in.
No, you need deeper water for that.
No. And then
I'm really worried about you, Bill. You sure you're a weather expert?
And then you freeze the snow inside the tankers.
How?
How do you mean, how?
How do you freeze it? How?
Don't you think that there are ships around that have frozen cargoes in them?
There are refrigerated ships, yeah. But they're not oil tankers.
Well, you refrigerate them, right? You put a few refrigerators in.
You could add shrimp to it. Put some shrimp in there, too.
No, Bill. You're not taking this seriously. You then take them across the Atlantic.
Yeah, and then the snow melts.
Next stop, Africa. No, it doesn't. Melts. No, it doesn't, because you've frozen it.
Yeah.
You get to Africa, you build a pipeline from the African coast to...
and then you get a giant snowblower.
No, somewhere like Sudan or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you pump it, you then melt it down into water, you pump it into Sudan. And
as snow?
No, as water.
Right.
But I mean, it's free water, because it was snow originally, it came out of the heavens, and you then pump it... I don't know why you're laughing. I don't know...
Because it's as ridiculous an idea as you've ever had.
Well, Bill thinks it's okay.
No, I'm worried about Bill.
Well, no, I just think it's very unique. I think I'm going to make it part of my next book. I think that it could be a good novel in there somewhere.
There could be, yeah, absolutely right. The day after tomorrow, and everybody goes completely staring mad. Bill Walsh, who is a weatherman in the United States, so he claims.
You have no vision, Mike.
I've got plenty of vision.
You have no vision.
You have no idea how to do anything that needs organisation.
No, you have no vision. All you say is, that would be too difficult. I mean...
Well, no, impossible, actually, was what I said.
I wish you would take on the mantra of, John F. Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Who, talking about...
Go on, then, let's say the quote.
I'll tell you the quote. Talking about the American space race. We do these things not because they are easy, but because they are difficult.
Yeah.
OK? And that's what these challenges are all about in life.
Yeah.
It's all very well...
How about we do these things not because they are easy, but because we've got nothing else to do? They're impossible.
It's all very well for a bunch of rock stars to get together and, they're very well-meaning to raise money for African charities, Ebola and all that. But what I'm proposing is something much more practical. Don't send them money which corrupt dictators may acquire. Send them water.
Send them dodgy snow.
Send them water.
Send them dodgy snow that's been corrupted by oil. That's a great idea.
Rubbish.
Brilliant.
Absolute
Fantastic.
rubbish, honestly.
08717 22 3344. Look into the light. You've overrun once again. We've got news to do. We've got the back pages to look at. We've got to talk about Formula One. It's an extraordinary state of affairs here. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. We are together, the two Mikes. We're going to talk to Todd McCandless in a moment, who's with Formula1blog.com about the coming battle in the desert, I suppose you might call it, in Abu Dhabi. It's going to be amazing. But a couple of quick tweets before we do that.
Hey,
Mr.
listen,
Parry.
Mike, seriously, just before you... No, go on, read those tweets out.
Well,
I
one
want to tell you something about tweeting.
Yeah, all right. One from Graham, who's a doctor in Mexico, says the equator is nowhere near Mexico. My house to the equator is over 1,600 miles away. And also, Hardy says, just listening to the idiotic ramblings of Mr. Parry makes insomnia worthwhile.
What do you mean, idiotic?
Idiotic well, I presume he means the one about the oil tankers. Here's a couple of texts here from some people who... Shay, who calls himself the leader of the Maidstone We Hate Porky group, says, Porky, the oil tankers...
What are you on about?
The oil tankers which go to Africa full of snow will only be 1/10 full when it melts. Think it through, man.
No. You shovel the snow on, it melts on board, then you shovel more and more snow on.
But you don't... Oh, so... But I thought you were going to keep it cold by refrigeration.
Well, you're going to keep it cold by refrigeration, keep the water cold, won't you?
So you don't want it frozen then?
Of course you don't want it frozen. Frozen snow is a waste of space.
Right.
Isn't
it is, yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's another one from someone who doesn't give a name. Wow, Mr. Porky might be onto something there. Never mind sending the snow to Africa. Freeze the snow in his oil tankers and take it to the melting ice caps in the Arctic. Dump it there. The penguins are happy, the oceans get cooler, and Mr. Porky solves global warming. Keep up the good work.
There is more ice in Antarctica now than there ever has been in the history of the world since records began.
And there's less ice in the Arctic, isn't there?
I think there's a bit less ice in the Arctic. I think you're right, yeah. Let me tell you about texting and all that, right, before we go and talk to our friend Todd.
Yeah.
I've seen a report. Texting can put 4 stone of extra weight on your spine as you hunch over your phone.
Really?
Yeah, that's the weight of 3 car tyres. In fact, on your old wreck, it'd be the weight of 4 car tyres. But the pressure on the cervical vertebrae in the neck can cause long-term damage, right?
I suppose that depends on your posture generally.
Well, it does. Now, listen, the human head weighs between 10 and 12 pounds, unless it's your head, which probably weighs about 20 pounds, because it's a big fat head.
Well,
right?
I have got a very much larger brain than yours. That's true.
No, you haven't. You've got a larger bonce and larger head because you've got 16 chins. Now, that's when your head's upright. But what this report says, done in America, when you tilt your head by just 15 degrees, right, it adds an extra 27 pounds to the weight of your head on your spine.
Really?
Yeah, and with more weight added, you lean at a 60-degree angle, and that adds as much as 60 pounds crush weight onto your spine.
And, of course, the thing is, you talk about texting. Actually, texting is not something I do very much, but tweeting and you know, being on social media, just using your phone for reading the news and stuff like that. I mean, you tend to be on your phone now because of the smartphone an awful lot more than when you're just texting somebody.
Well, let me tell you this, to save your health, OK? Because I do have concerns for you.
I know. Well, now that I've eaten a bit of your Battenberg cake.
Exactly, yeah. In fact, they picked me behind the glass of eating the rest of it. I mean, I didn't have any slices of the Battenberg cake. It's been stolen off me and eaten. Anyway, the point is, what you've got to do is, it's a bit like the way you should walk. When you're texting in future, you sit in a chair with your back upright.
Yeah.
In fact, you should lean backwards, if anything, OK, when you're texting. Align your shoulders. Set your shoulders... Sorry, your ears should be aligned with your shoulders.
Yeah.
That's the key. So when you're texting in future, kids, and I mean this to young people,
well, that means you should hold the phone up like that, then, shouldn't you?
Yeah, well, yes, perhaps you should hold the phone up in front of your face. But what I'm saying is, when you're texting in future, don't put your head forward and look down on your phone. Do what MG's just suggested, lift your face up and put your phone in front of your face so that your ears are above your shoulders. If your ears aren't above your shoulders, you've got a problem, OK? That is to keep you in good health. All this is not gobbledygook. It comes from a report published in Surgical Technology International, which is a well-respected...
Oh, you just happened to be perusing that this week,
I was perusing
What's it called?
It's called Surgical Technology International. What are you laughing for?
Why on earth would you be reading that?
Because I read everything. Because I need to impart knowledge to be able to tell people what's going on in the world, OK? Also, the guy who's the lead researcher there, Dr. Kenneth Hansraj, OK? And he's from the New York Spine Surgery and Rehabilitation Unit, right?
Yeah.
And he says it's impossible to avoid the technologies that cause these issues. Individuals, therefore, should make an effort to look at their phones with a neutral spine and avoid spending hours each day hunched over them. It won't do you any good in the long run. So there's a warning to you all, and I'm serious. Young people who start texting and tweeting at the age of 12, 13, 14 could be crippled by the age of 25 if they don't get their posture
That's
right.
because their spine is still growing, of course. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly, and they get curvature of the spine. You might see a generation of, those signs which are so controversial now, old people leaning over, you know, with their stick and all that. That'll be young people at the age of 25 if they don't get it right.
Have you finished?
I've finished,
Because we've got to talk to Todd now.
Yeah,
because
let's do
there's
that.
a massive race coming up on Sunday.
You're right.
At 1 o'clock, as I predicted. Todd, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Terribly
hi, Todd.
sorry to keep
Hi,
you
Todd.
waiting there, but some invaluable information there from Mr. Parry on the subject of
Yes.
texting and tweeting using your smartphone. Now, how much more exciting could the end of the Formula One season be than this?
It comes down to the final race, Mike, and it's gripping. Now, for all of you out there with an abacus, you can put it down. I'm going to tell you what happens. There's a very good chance that the Mercedes cars will be leading the race. They have the pace. There could be a good chance that one Mercedes will win. The big question is which one? If it's Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton can finish no worse than second place, and Lewis will take the title. So that's due of the double points this year for this single race. If we were using last year's point system, Lewis could finish in sixth or worse and still win the title. But because of the double points in Abu Dhabi, if Nico wins, Lewis has to finish second. Now, it must be said, Mike, that Lewis goes into this weekend and told the press today in Thursday's press conference he has no desires of trying to cruise around to second. He's going to win, and that's typical of Lewis. He's a racer.
But I was listening to, or I was talking to somebody earlier on in the week about this, about the sort of tactics that Hamilton might try and adopt here. And I'm not sure that he would adopt these tactics. But if he just let Rosberg go ahead of him and then followed him around, basically that would ensure that there was no unfortunate incidents which led to one of them crashing out.
Yeah, absolutely. He very well could do that. It's not typically in Lewis's nature.
Yeah,
I
don't think he would do that, but that would be the sensible way to do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you where that may come into play, Mike, is that both of these cars have tremendous amount of mileage on these power units, and a mechanical DNF could strike either driver. So if Lewis does sense he's got a brake problem, maybe the car's not operating very well, you very well could see him slot in second and just bring it home.
Todd, I still think that the point system is incredibly unfair because Lewis Hamilton has won 10 races this season. It's a record for any British driver, and including 5 on the trot. And Nico Rosberg has only won 5 races this season. And yet Nico Rosberg is within a whisper of overtaking Lewis Hamilton, his teammate, to win the World Championship. I just think that's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. They changed these point systems and increased the amount of points you get for a win. And it really has, upset the apple cart. When you look at it, these two drivers headed to Abu Dhabi this weekend. Only 17 points difference between them. And as you rightfully said, look at the amount of races that won. What you also look at the points, though, is that Nico has always finished second or thereabouts, which mitigates the damage that would normally happen. And say versus a few DNFs, the points shake out as they are.
Yeah, and I also think that we just glossed over the collision incident at Spa when Rosberg quite deliberately, and that's in the words of Lewis Hamilton, put his teammate out of the race. And we've just moved on from that. I think he should have been stripped of his points, Rosberg.
Yeah, those kinds of coming together, they happen all the time, but not at the sharp end of the grid between two people, going for the championship. Of course, you could draw those parallels to Pro Senna, those kind of incidents. But certainly the stewards looked at it, deemed it a racing incident, handed no penalties for Nico Rosberg, kept the points tight. And if you're trying to make an exciting show, I guess maybe that's the way to do it, Mike.
Yeah.
And what will happen, do you think, at the end of this season, regardless of how this race ends up, or maybe depending on how this race ends up with this particular team? I mean, are they going to be able to go into a new season still, together, or is there going to be a separation of Hamilton and Rosberg? How's it going to work?
I don't think so. I think Lewis made a pretty big move here in the last few weeks. He has separated himself. He's not working with his management company anymore. What is it, 19? Simon Fuller's company. Now he's representing himself. He said all along, and Toto Wolff just came out this week for Mercedes, said that after Abu Dhabi, we're going to sit down with Lewis and go ahead and iron out a contract extension. So it'll be very interesting to see how Lewis navigates this kind of dodgy contract negotiation on his own. going forward. But, there's two things, Mike. You bring up a great point. After this season, well, Mercedes still has that baked-in performance advantage in their engine. I don't see that going away next year. And I do see Lewis Hamilton remaining with the team, and I see them being very competitive next year.
Okay, but Todd, what about the long-term future of Formula One? Are we looking at the death days of the peak of Formula One motor racing? Teams falling out because they can't afford it anymore, not enough distribution of wealth amongst the teams evenly. That means monopolistic situations. That usually means that the audience, the fans, get bored by seeing the same people coming round the bend at every race.
Yeah, it's very, very, very difficult situation financially for Formula One. When you look at this, Mike, the distribution of the money, the small teams are saying, hey, look, we need more money from the prize money from Formula One management at the end of the year so we can, continue to race. We're at risk of losing these privateer teams whose only business model is racing. Where you look at Mercedes, they have a completely different business. They sell cars.
Sure.
Same for Ferrari. But these little teams, Force India, Williams, you could argue even McLaren or Red Bull. They don't build, well, McLaren does, but Red Bull doesn't build cars. So, they have a different business model. The fact of the matter is, it's its new hybrid engine, which has been so comprehensively expensive to the format that these teams are spending $20, $30 million a year just to buy these hybrid engines. Yeah. And this has really upset the apple cart.
Yeah, it certainly has. I wonder how long it will go on.
Excuse me, do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, please do, yeah. Go on.
Todd,
it won't be as good a question as mine. But
no, of course it won't be. Todd, what's your best bet on who's going to win this one?
I just to mix it up, I'm going to go with Lewis. I think he's gunning for it. He's got something to prove that he's not going to play second fiddle. He's going to go in comprehensive low. And I'll go with Lewis, Nico, and then maybe Daniel Ricciardo for the podium.
Okay. Todd, thank you very much indeed. Did you hear what you said about the mileage, by the way, on the cars? That's Tom McCandless, by the way, from Formula1blog.com, man that knows an awful lot about motor racing. Said there's a lot of mileage on the cars.
So what? What are you telling me?
So you were saying the mileage on my car is a bad thing. I'm saying it's actually a good thing.
If your car went 2 miles round somewhere like Silverstone or something like that, it would fall to pieces, literally.
It would not.
It would literally fall to pieces.
It wouldn't.
It would.
Have you ever driven a racing car or a rally car or anything like that?
No.
I once went on a rally driving course. It was great fun.
Oh, I've
up at Silverstone.
I've navigated in a rally car.
Have you? Goodness gracious
in a rally around the Kielder Forest in Northumberland. And the car crashed into the River Coca.
That comes as no surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, because you took a wrong turning.
No, because we slipped down a riverbank and went into the river.
You were navigating.
I was navigating, yeah.
It's quite terrifying driving at that speed.
Yeah, it is in the middle of the night.
Because I went round. I had to do it for work, and they said, right, go and learn how to drive a rally car. Yeah. And so I eventually, after about 3 or 4 goes around, I thought I was doing quite well, and I was doing the course, as it were, sort of doing understeer and handbrake turns and all that. I thought it was great, and I was doing it around about 40 miles an hour. And then the instructor said, right, I'm going to show you how to do it now. And he took me around the course at 90 miles an hour, including just and when we first did it, it was like driving straight at a wall and saying, look, just accelerate up to the wall and then put the handbrake on. It was very exhilarating.
And when you're a navigator, you have to learn the new expressions.
Did you have the map on your knees?
The map on your knees. We have to learn the expressions like 90 left, 90 right, hanger left, all this
So how did you
stuff.
end up in the river?
Well, because we slid off the road. It was the driver's fault. I mean, he was.
It wasn't your fault.
No. He didn't.
The professional rally driver obviously would be at fault.
He didn't get the back in properly, if you see what I mean. So it was all over the place.
Bit of understeer
as we came out of the bend. That's right. And it went towards the bank, and then I suddenly realised we were losing it. Slid down the bank and slid in.
What did he say to you?
He didn't say anything to me.
Did he say, I'm terribly sorry, it's my fault?
No. Well, it was his fault. He was swearing and cursing, And the point was, thank God, it was at a point of the River Coca, which is a lovely river, by the way. We just got out and lay there while the sun came up over the river because it was in spring, and it was only about 3 foot deep at that point.
When did you do this? You never told me about this.
I did this in my teens when I was working as a great reporter on the Evening Chronicle in Newcastle.
No, of course. We are the two Mikes. This is, of course, Talk Sport, the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, coming up with Alan Brazil and Danny Murphy at 6 o'clock. We've got lots more to do. Right now, Mr. Parry, I'm delighted to say you might be able to smell the wafting of sort of chocolate in the studio, because
very
we've now
pleasant.
we've got a sort of interactive quiz, if you like, because we're going to be giving you 10 questions about chocolate for this week's quiz, and we'll see how many of them you get right. And of course, what we're going to do is at one point we're going to ask you to taste each piece of chocolate and see whether you can identify what it is.
Okay.
Now they've been marked 1, 2, and 3. I've got the secret list over here, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So for once, it'll be a quiz that you can get your teeth into. If you know
I
what
get my
mean.
teeth into all the quizzes, providing you don't change the answers.
Well, once again, these questions have been compiled by independent quizmasters, and
you keep saying that. Who puts the pressure on the quizmasters?
I exert no pressure at all.
You.
These were handed to me just a few moments ago, and what's going to happen if you get one answer correct? This is what you will hear.
Milky Bar, they're on me!
I like that.
And if you get it wrong, you'll hear this.
I am a unit. I'm a unit.
That was what you said a little bit earlier. Now, question number 1 is a musical question. Let's have a listen to this.
Okay.
Can you name the famous chocolate advert that is the music from? Would you like to hear it again?
Well, there's not much to hear.
Well, have a
It
little
was about
listen.
2 seconds. Yes.
Like to hear it again?
No. So that's a famous chocolate product, is it?
It's a famous chocolate advert, yes.
Famous chocolate advert. That is... I know what that is. That's... Cadbury's Flake.
And no?
I am a unit.
They're a bit slow behind the old
They're a
bar.
bit slow.
Bit
They're a
slow
bit slow.
behind the glass there. Yeah,
So...
it's the man from Milk Tray.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. No,
The man from Milk Tray.
rubbish. Because the lady likes milk tray.
The lady loves
No,
milk tray.
that's the lady who loves
Well,
milk tray.
that's the music before you get to the end.
Well, the bit you gave me was a bit in the middle, which is the most
Well,
anonymous
it's when
part
he's
of
running
it.
through,
No.
jumping up. It's just before the bit where he says that the lady loves milk tray.
No, I mean,
0 out of 1.
The best bit is when the guy's diving off cliffs and he's got a knife in his teeth and all that, and that did not remind me of that. So
No, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. That was a bum steer.
0 out of 1. Question number 2. Who starred as Willy Wonka in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie?
The guy with the frizzy hair.
Yes,
Guy with the frizzy hair.
he did have frizzy hair.
Yeah, and trying to remember his name now. He looks a bit like Mick Hucknall of,
He does a bit, yeah, that's
of
true.
Simply Red.
Yeah.
And
Porky's now got his hands up to his face.
and he
in that,
wore a top hat.
yes,
wore a
he
top
did,
hat.
yeah.
Wore a top hat. And his name. It was.
I'll have to hurry you.
Well, he didn't really do anything else at all except that. That was his.
Well, that's not true either.
That was his signal film. Oh, I'm going to have to guess it. It was. Blimey, what's his name? His name.
Come on, give us a name.
Oh, Charles Dance. I am a unit.
Incorrect. It was Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. Never heard of him.
Now we're at question number 3, which is the tasting question. Okay,
Okay,
so I'm
right.
going to ask you to. I'm going to remove the
Right.
the cellophane, and if you would mind taking first of all a bite of number 1 and telling us what you think that is. Take a smaller bite as you like. You don't have to take a huge bite.
Number 1.
We've got 3 pieces of chocolate here. Can you identify that? It's a bit crunchy,
It's nuggety
nuggety.
and crunchy.
Yeah.
I reckon it's a double decker.
Absolutely correct.
Mango.
Milky Bar, they're on me!
Have we got some delay behind the glass there? It seems to be very slow coming up with the answers there.
We're all stuffing chocolate
Well,
in their
that's
mouths.
fantastic. That is very good. Now, number 2, if you'd like to try that, see if you can identify this, that one. I had no doubt you'd do well at this. You only need to get 2 right out of 3, apparently, to get the point.
Somebody, to try and put me off, has scratched the imprint of the chocolate
Yeah,
name
well,
on
that
the
would
top.
be the quizmasters behind the glass, because if they hadn't done that, you'd known exactly what kind of chocolate it was.
I'll just put this in my mouth.
No, okay.
I haven't finished the double decker.
No, I know. Do you want some tea or something
No,
to
no.
help you get it down?
No. What? No. Don't let me walk away. Right.
This is a great idea. This actually
Hang
keeps
on.
you from talking.
Don't be stupid. This is simply a bar of Cadbury's chocolate.
Is that your answer?
It's Excuse me, I'm really joking. It's a bar of Cadbury's chocolate. I am a unit.
It's not correct. It's a Yorkie.
No.
It is. It's just a plain Yorkie.
Damn cheat, that is.
Now, in order to get the point, you need to answer you need to get the third one correct.
Right. Let's scratch the name off the top again.
You have to scratch the name off, otherwise you'll be able to identify. He's now trying to read what the scratch name might possibly be.
Right, okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, well, hang on. All right, hang on. This is... Right. This is the Cadbury's one.
Yeah.
With the soft centre. Mm-hmm. And it's called... What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the expression on your face.
I think it's called... What's it called? I'm just chewing it. I think it's called something like Cadbury's Velvet.
It's not, but you know I'm going to give you that, because it is Cadbury's. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. It's actually it's Cadbury's Dairy Milk Caramel.
Excellent, great.
Which you didn't entirely get right. So you can't say I don't ever give you anything. That's 1 out of 3. Well done.
Your conscience has finally got you.
My conscience has not got me at all. It's just being fair. Question number 4.
Right.
Where was the film and the book, either or, Chocolat, set?
France.
Yeah, can you be any more specific?
Provence.
That's not bad, I'll give you that. It was a fictional French town, actually, called Lansquenet-sous-Pin.
Excellent.
Filmed in Burgundy. Number 5, where is Cadbury's World?
Cadbury's World is in Birmingham.
Milky Bar, they're on me!
Steady, you're going to need to be a little bit more specific than that, because Birmingham, I'll give you half a point for, but it's actually in a place sort of in Birmingham, but it's a...
Yeah, it's where the model village is, which Roundtree...
I'll give you a clue. There was a bar of chocolate named after it.
Yeah, that's right. It's Cadbury's in Birmingham, and it's called... hang on a second. It's a district of Birmingham. It's not Digbeth.
Yeah. Begins with a B.
Bourneville. It's Bourneville.
There you go.
Milky Bar,
See, I'm being very helpful to you this time. I'm going to stop being so
There's
helpful.
something wrong with you. I think you know that you're going to get a pasting.
You've now got 3 out of 5.
Cheat. Yeah,
right, question number 6. Can you name 2 European chocolate manufacturers?
Switzerland?
No, that's a country. I mean the actual brand.
Oh, the brand.
Yes.
Lindt,
yes.
She's Swiss.
Yeah.
And there's a really famous one in Belgium.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is an interesting one in Belgium, which I'm going to name for you, but I don't think you're talking about that one.
Okay, so there's Lindt and the other one in Europe.
Yeah.
In Europe.
Yeah.
Who else makes chocolate? Germans, they make chocolate. France, Belgium. There's Belgian chocolate.
There is, but you need to give me a name.
They're called Belgian. They're called Belgian chocolates.
No, they're not.
Hang on then. Switzerland, Portugal, Spain.
These are all countries you're listing.
Yeah, I know. Finland, they make chocolate? No. Swiss and Danish. No, it's
These
bacon,
are all
isn't
countries.
it? That's bacon.
Danish bacon.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to give you nil point for that one.
You
could have had Nestle, which of course is Swiss. You could have had Souchard, which is Swiss. And my favourite one, which is Belgian, Van Parijs. You ever heard of that?
I said Swiss and
you don't get anything for Swiss. You didn't get the brand. Okay, you've now got, 3 out of 6.
I did get the brand. I said Lindt.
Yeah, that's only 1. You needed to name 2. Question number 7. Have a listen to this.
Yeah.
Can you name the lead singer of this group?
Oh, okay. I know who that is.
You know the song?
Yeah, his name's Errol.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to need both names.
Errol.
It's Hot Chocolate, of course, is the name
Hot Chocolate,
of the group.
yeah. His name's Errol, and so you win again, da-da-da-da, you win again, the loser, Errol Brown.
Errol Brown, correct.
Thank you.
Milky Bar, they're on me!
4 out of 7. Question number 8. It's not bad for you. Which British company made Turkish Delight and chocolate cream?
Fries, Turkish Delight.
Do you remember the advert?
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Milky Bar, they're on
My
me!
goodness, that's
incredible.
5 out of 8.
By the way, they still do. They do Fries Cadbury cream.
Yeah, they do.
But they also do the green one, the mint cream.
Peppermint cream.
Yeah, peppermint cream. I
They
saw
do.
it tonight.
Yeah, I saw it tonight as well.
Yeah,
Question number 9. When and where was the first chocolate Easter egg produced?
When and where?
Yeah.
Was it in this country?
It was not in this country, but that's a clue now I've given you.
So in that case, it must have been I would say, because they're big on Easter in Belgium. I am a unit.
Incorrect. It was in the early 19th century, and it was in France and Germany.
France and Germany.
Okay, so you've now got 5 out of 9. I think you've got. Final question. So you could get 6 out of 10, which would be incredible.
Yeah.
Last month, one British chocolate manufacturer announced it would no longer be making what at Christmas for the first time?
It would no longer be making golden money. Cadbury's golden money.
Golden coins. Correct.
Woo,
so therefore, I can tell you that you've got 6 out of 10.
Winner.
Which, for all of your academic research, tells me that indeed your favourite subject and your expert subject is actually chocolate.
Yeah, well, I have a very, very broad range of knowledge on a very wide range of subjects.
Well, that's the best you've ever done, and that's on chocolate. So maybe you look maybe a bit too much.
I'm looking behind the glass now, and they're all stuffing their faces.
I know. Well, they're eating the rest of the bars
chocolate,
that you tried. There's 3 more bits here if you want any more, by the way.
And I even gave them a bit of my Battenberg cake as well.
I know.
Greedy pigs they are.
That's a bit harsh. Mike Porky Parry gets 6 out of 10 for the first time in a quiz. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. That was the Two Mikes podcast.
Yes, it certainly was. Don't forget, it's out every Tuesday and every Friday morning on iTunes.
And you can follow us at the Two Mikes.
So keep listening for more of MG's loose morals. Believe me, this boy hasn't got a moral fibre in his body.
And more of his bizarre buffoonery.
What?